What's your hair naturally?
My hair is neither curly nor wavy. It has a wave in it. So that's why.
Break it down. Break that down, because I have no idea what you mean. Like my hair's My hair's like kinky.
No, my hair is like never curly as your hair. That's why like it has. If I just left it natural, it was like it looks like I walked out of 1972. It's straight. And then it's got like waves.
I love that. Like it's like schizophrenic. Like it doesn't know what it is.
Right. It's
well, that's your personality
half preppy,
too.
Half preppy, half Italian.
But that's your personality too. Because when I met you, I was like, "Oh my God, you're so crazy!" And then like when you came to set, I was like, bitch handles her business." You're very.
So you said bitch handles her business.
I said biatch.
You are me in 20. Just look at me.
I should be so lucky.
That is who you are. Look in the mirror. This is your future.
Okay, wait. We have the same problem where like I hosted a show the other night. It was like a Jewish show. Like basically like the end of the night I was singing like Hey Jude, like a cover of Hey Jude. Oh, Hey Jude. I was singing Hey Jew with like an Orthodox Jew and like Yiddish comedians. Like This Is My Life. And like afterwards everybody was like, "Oh my God, you're amazing. Oh my God, you're amazing. I love you so much. You're so amazing. Oh my God, you're so amazing." And then it was like, "I'm so amazing." And then it was like 3:00 in the morning and I was eating a Hot Pocket in my kitchen alone. I'm not saying to feel bad for me, but like, you are like the one person that gets that.
Yes.
So stop telling me I'm amazing, and just have sex with my body.
I know. I think people get intimidated by that, As much as you and I have low self-esteem, we acknowledge our low self-esteem, but I think that people are much more afraid than they let on,
Of being honest.
Well, they always say that a man's biggest fear is being laughed at. That is like his number one fear.
Oh, that's
and
interesting.
so I think that when they look at somebody like, you or myself, they feel as if they're taking on too much.
Right, like they have to be on guard all the time.
Yeah. And I feel that that's a generational thing that has changed. It's like in the old days it didn't matter. People were like, "You're cute. Let's go out."
Oh, that's interesting. Like they were like, "You're a crazy broad."
Yeah. I used to be really popular.
Wow.
And now people are like, "You're see you later."
You're
and
crazy.
They get like, they're like, "God, you're so fun. I wish my girlfriend were more like you."
Yeah.
I get that a lot. And then I get the late night texts. I'm like, not good.
Yeah. Are you up?
I'm like, why don't you I text back. I go, why don't you lean over and like do something with your girlfriend? Like, I'm not.
But tell me a joke. What did a guy say to me the other day? He goes, he had just broken up with his fiance, and he goes, and I had like I had a crush-ish on him because he was like underweight and like an alcoholic, and I was like, oh, like our type. And I was like, he was like, yeah, let's have lunch, and I was like, cool. I'll eat, if you're buying, I'm there. And he goes, oh, no. This is after like an hour of talk, like 3 hours of talking. Okay, like 10 minutes of talking to me.
Yeah.
And he goes, no, I only buy lunch for people I'm trying to sleep with. I go, well, then what has the past like 8 minutes been, And I go, so basically, let me break it down. You want me, and I'm not angry, but you want me to come to you, buy my own tuna fish sandwich, and make you laugh.
Yes.
And he said, yes. So tell me what to do. Mom/hot older sister, what should I do? And don't say keep being yourself and the right one will come.
One time somebody said to me that in order to get a guy, I had to stop being self-deprecating. And I did that. Like I went to a party, I was like, I had nothing to say. That was worse. It was like that feeling like when you smoke too much pot.
Yeah.
That's why I can never smoke pot, because I get like.
Me too!
I can't talk. I'm like,
Me too. I'm like, what does it all mean? I overthink
I get in my head,
Yeah.
and I see everyone having a good time, and I'm like, hearing my thoughts, and
you're a Jew,
and I couldn't. Well, I'm Italian. It's the same.
It's the same thing.
I think I've got an 8th Jew in me.
That's
why my hair is wavy. Just that part.
Yeah, it's the part that's like.
No,
I have cancer.
My grandmother is, but both of my grandparents were Italian immigrants, and so I have their cadence because I spent a lot of time with them in New York.
And their cadence is I'm gonna fucking talk about what's going on.
Hey,
What?
Hey,
Hey, look at you over here.
That's my
Look
grandmother.
at this one.
She goes, fix your hair. We're gonna get free beer.
Yeah.
Like that's my grandmother's. That's what that was her thing. Hey, what do you, what? Everything was like that, in a level of heightened. People will say to me, like, why are you yelling? I'm like, I'm just talking, actually.
Total. My boyfriends, when I was growing up, they would be like, why? And my parents were still married. And I remember he came over for dinner one time, and it's like, fuck you, Billy. Shout, Jennifer,
Yeah.
no. And he goes, I'm so sorry your parents are getting divorced. And I was like, no, that's just dinner. Like, that's just like tofu stir-fry night. Like,
yeah, they're just talking regular. Okay, so we were talking before about the whole, like...
Oh, how to find love.
Yeah, and I am very, very conflicted because I don't think it is us. I think it's society. I think society...
It's not us, it's you.
Yeah, I don't think...
It's specifically you, Drew.
Yeah,
the white male gaze that I can feel right now.
Drew and Dakota and Blythe and Dallas,
Luke,
and
Christian,
Nebraska and Tristan and
Lincoln, Kinsley.
Yeah, it's like, give me like fucking Jerry.
Yeah.
Joe. Give me Joe.
But see, okay, that's the other thing though. I know a lot of men, because I went to your show the other night.
Yes.
You can't throw the shit at me, ILLEANA, because a lot of men want to put their cape in your fear. You know what I'm saying?
Really? I was not aware of that.
Well, exactly, because you don't see it. And I think a lot of men, when I get with you, I'm not going to name names, but we talk about this. It's like...
No, name names. Name names.
True.
Give me their numbers.
Guys like you, but they're not the right ones. Or guys will go out with you and they'll go, why aren't you this character? You're not,
That I see. I think that, and again, that's where I think it is a society thing. There is a lot of fear and judgment and projection that men put on women like us. And it's terrible. It's more
because we love you.
But it's more sexist now because I feel that they want to just sleep with someone that is uncomplicated and
makes them feel big and smart.
I think they don't want the complication because they're so confused about what they want and their career and this and that it's like they just want to be able to sleep with someone who's not going to ask a lot of questions and will, leave in the morning willingly. And I feel that they look at us and they think that like, wow, that's the whole package, and yet it scares me. And then they back off. Because that's that's what I find.
Totally.
Is people come on really strong, and then the minute you say you're interested, they don't, you don't hear from them again. So that's where we are right now. But I don't believe, and maybe I'm not a good enough actor, I cannot not be myself.
Totes.
I can't. It would be like suppressing a burp or something. Like I wouldn't be able to, I cannot not be myself. And I think that like I've worked out all the kinks. Like I think I'm pretty fun to be with, and
I can attest.
All of that. But I don't think that, but I look at the men and they seem to have a lot of fear and anxiety and about, they don't just jump right in anymore. And I think that guys used to be more carefree and jump right in.
And just like more playful, have more fun. That's true because I'm a huge hit with the 7-year-old, 8-year-olds. And I don't mind. They call me Toots, but there's like respect in that Toots.
Well, because the line between men and women back then, and I'm a feminist, but then I'm also like an anti-feminist because the lines between men and women were very,
clear,
very clear, which they aren't now. Everything is kind of is blurred lines. And so it makes it harder to distinguish. I mean, when a guy flirted with you, it was kind of like, it was pretty obvious. It was like, hey, you're cute.
And now it's like, does he want my purse? Does he want me help with his career? Does he want a time away from his wife? Like, there's so many different questions. You don't know.
I mean, I've had guys who ask you out, like, they ask you if you want to go hiking. And you're like, a hike? And you go, is this a date? Like, I'm so confused. You know,
are you here in case you pass out and I can?
But no, people like I get invited to like a book signing. Oh, my friend's got a book, and do you want to come?
That's
with me?
LA though. That's totally.
But you're
LA.
like, is this a date,
right?
Or am I arm candy, or is it because I'm a celebrity? You know, I have the whole celebrity factor, which is
so. And I want to talk about this. So, okay, there's hope for us. I mean, I feel like our future husbands, Ryan Gosling's watching this, and like,
is there hope for us?
I mean, this is the thing. If I am you, and I see you now, and I see your situation, like, it's like you've never compromised who you are. You've tried. You show up to bat. You've been fucking married. You've fucking been in long relationships. Like you don't like hide away and go, you know what? I'm just gonna sit here and be better than all you guys and fuck men. No, you don't do that. You play the game. So I have respect for that.
I'll give you one tip. I did this. I reached a point where I was like, I'll date anybody. Like I'll really be open. No, I'm not there
because I have an amazing vibrator.
Okay. Yeah, that's for.
Sorry, Mom.
That's too advanced for me. It's my generation. We do it old school still.
My vibrator cuddles with me. He gives me compliments. He pets my cat.
Oh God. Anyway.
Yeah. What's your advice?
No, I reached this point where I was like, I'll date like someone who has
if they're breathing
lower, a cadaver. No, and that I found was actually worse. Because when you find that person rejecting you, then you're like, wow, I was actually dating you because you have no money.
Because you'll never cheat on me.
Yeah. Because you're not attractive. I am not attracted to you. You've got a roommate and you're in your 50s.
Right.
Like I was lowering my standards. And I did it once and I was like, wow, I will never do that again. I mean, I know the qualities of a person that I want to date, and if they don't have that qualities, I no longer waste time trying to get them so much too.
Right, because they're never going to change, and that's the thing. It's like men are who they are, we are who we are. But I will say I have done very good in my bulimia. I mean, not to bring it back to me and my food issues, but
please do.
Anyway, so I have.
It's an ongoing.
I have dated, I was like super good at like restricting one summer and like ate only breath mints and was like, I'm going to be like the skinny girl.
Yes.
And I was like you skinny. Like I was skinny, like shit was like falling off of me and like I was like so good at it.
Women love that. And
I loved it. I felt Asian. And the guys that I got, it was just like, I couldn't feel sex because I was so hungry. I couldn't I just was not, I was smaller and like, I'm not gonna lie, I felt like, oh my God, I won. Like I won my life.
Yeah.
But it was like the guys that I got, like it's just none of it was real and none of it felt real. So I think about that, like whenever I wanna like diet, I look at it as like a great metaphor. Like whenever I want to diet or like diet my personality and get like smaller, I just think about like how miserable that feels and like to just have faith, right?
Yeah.
Because like I attract people like you and I know we're not sleeping together, but like it's only a matter of time.
We could be.
But like I'd rather, it's like then you attract people who like love you for who you are.
Yeah, I mean that is the hope.
People love you, the people that love you love you.
That's true, yes, I think that's true. But like I've got a circle of 20 people that love me but who don't want to date me.
Yeah.
And I'm always fascinated by that. But I see the people that they want to date and they don't quite match. And I feel that we've now reversed in that, men are the new chicks. It's men that are settling.
Right.
Men settle.
Right.
And then what happens is that, I can tell because these late night texts and they're not satisfied in their relationship, but they settled on somebody, that's what women used to do. That's why I got married. It was like, this perception that I was not married was important, I wanted to be married. And then that, that I was like, oh, that's not really why you get married. It was like, so I think that men now do that. It's completely reversed.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
I mean, because I'm like going through the situation right now where I'm like, oh my God, this guy gets me.
Yeah.
I feel like he gets me, so I'm ignoring all this other shit.
Yeah,
and I'm
bad.
Yeah, I'm going.
We all project.
But he gets me. I'm so hard to get. But he gets me. And I think this is what it's called, intuition. Because I feel like this is the gift that I'm getting with like not being bulimic anymore, where it's like, okay, because I'm not throwing up and distracted with all that shit, I'm realizing like I'm having panic attacks after I sleep with them. Like that's not normal.
Right.
Looking back on the situation now with your husband, because there's different ways to look at it. Like you were in that period for a time, you learned a lot, you learn with every relationship. Or do you think looking back now, you knew like, and you just ignored it? Because you're very intuitive.
Yes, I knew. And other than that, I can't talk because I'll be sued.
Yeah.
But I'll be sued. But no, I knew immediately.
Speaking of, ILLEANA has a new book coming out.
Yes, my new book, which hopefully I won't be sued for that. It's a book about movies. I write about people that are dead, like Marlon Brando and Roddy McDowell, and they can't sue me. But Ethan Hawke's in the book too. He's very a lot of people are in the book, but it's not a tell-all book. My next book will be a tell-all book.
And we've got to talk about I want to talk about your filmmaking skills. Because nobody, I didn't know this when I reached out to you, and I was very shocked. In a good way.
About my filmmaking? Is somebody texting you right now? Sexting you?
I'm on Tinder. Okay, so I want to know, I mean, you have it, right? You have the thing. Like, you have what you need. Like, you have it. You can't learn it. You have it.
Oh.
You have it.
Oh, it?
ILLEANA, you have it. So was there a moment when you knew that you had it and you were like, this is what I'm going to do? Was it a bunch of little moments?
No, see, this is where you and I are similar. I knew that I had it when I was 12 years old. Nobody else knew it. I was like, you're a loser, okay? You're ugly, you look like a monkey. You know, my family my father was like, doesn't she look like a monkey? I'm like, I think that's a flattering thing to say.
And you're from a very famous showbiz family.
Yes.
So
yes. My grandparents thought I was entertaining. God bless my grandparents, because they were the only ones who thought I was entertaining. My family was like, did not think I was remotely funny or interesting, or it didn't encourage me. You know, they weren't negative towards me, but they just literally like didn't encourage me. I mean, one time, and this sounds like a setup to a joke, but like one time I was so ignored that I ran away from home. And then, but my running away was like, we lived in a forest, you know, like near a forest. I ran away and I like hid in a tree because I was like, this is where I'm going to hear like how much they really love me and care about me. No, my father was like, let her go. Who cares? You know, like she'll come back.
She'll learn, get hair on her chest, whatever.
I was like in this fucking pine tree going like, my family hates me. Like I know, like I did this big dramatic thing. Or I would watch, like, I remember watching, you know, Gone with the Wind was on television for the first time. It sounds like a silly movie, but like, I was blown away by, you know, Vivien Leigh in that movie, and I was like, just became Vivien Leigh. Mm-hmm. And I was like, Ashley! Yeah, I was just like over the top, and I was like, the next day I was like acting up a storm, you know, and my mother was like, what is wrong with you? Like, nobody saw anything in me ever, except but my grandparents. I would write them funny letters, and I said my grandparents kept them. I was writing jokes. Like I was writing to my grandmother, I'm like, we're so poor, I'm gonna put a down payment on a steak. It was like a child's weird crafting of a joke. Yeah. You know? And then
were you guys really poor?
Yes, we were poor. We grew up in a hippie lifestyle. So my parents chose to be, in my mind, we chose to be poor, you know, because it was like I saw other people that were wealthy and I couldn't understand like why, you know.
So it was like, fuck the system.
Yeah, and my brothers who were older than me, like my mother denies all of this, but they got all the good food, and then I would get peanut butter and jelly. Like they got chicken, you know, like they would get tuna sandwich or chicken in a can or something, and then I would get like whatever was left. Like my mother denies this, but like they would get the most of the tuna, and then my bread would be like I'd get a little tuna in the middle, and around it mainly would be bread. So I think that's why I was always, you know, sort of skinny. But anyway, yes, my grandparents were always sort of, you know, encouraging me, and we went to movies together, and so I knew that I was going to do something with my life. I knew I was important. I knew all of this stuff, but nobody else did. And like literally until
I really identify with that.
yeah, it transcends being a narcissist because I'm not a narcissist, and I don't think you are either. And I've certainly met with a lot of narcissists. For some bizarre reason, and I think that's why we're also tortured, is that we feel we have something important to say. And I think
that's not being said.
Yeah. And I think I had that at 5.
Yeah.
I think that for some reason, when I was 5, I saw the human condition. I just did. Like I saw things, whether it was like people being mean or people being picked on or bullied. And I always, like, my heart went out to them for some reason. I had that feeling that I was here to do something important. And I was willing, when I was younger and a kid, like I was just literally willing to do anything. I mean, I write about this in my book. My first thing in show business was I happened to see this thing in the newspaper for inner city youths to be in a theater program. So I basically like just lied and like
said you were like a inner city youth?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes. I found somebody I just saw this thing. I was like, this is my ticket. This is my ticket out. And I was willing, and I saw nothing. I mean, I didn't see anything wrong with, I found this family that lived in Hartford. I fictionalized that was my address because they lived in a bad community. And
oh my God, that's so
and the
fucking
letter
funny.
went there, and because I was like, no, I'm okay, I'm not an inner city youth, but I am.
Like inside, like emotionally, I'm inner city.
I need to be in this, and I was like, why should they get this when I'm,
that's
need to be in this
chutzpah.
program? So I got in this program, and I was such an imbecile that I didn't even know. I had learned the song. I'd learned this Liza Minnelli song off of the record. I didn't even know. They were like, make sure to bring sheet music. And I was like, okay, whatever. I got the sheet music, but I didn't realize that, like, oh, she's singing in a different key than what the sheet music is. And then when I got there, it was like, had like just a tragic, experience. But I made it through this crazy experience by, they told me I was singing the wrong key, and I was like, I'm singing in the right key. I'm in the key of Liza. Like, there is no other key. And I didn't mean it to be funny, but everybody started laughing.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm getting in this company. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, it was like life or death. And I don't know, you have that as a young age, and I don't know where that hunger comes from. If it's a past life thing, I don't know. I just feel as if I have never thought so much about, I've just thought about like staying and being in the game and having a voice and feeling as if I'm here to comment on the human condition in my way. And it's a shame when things get in your way, like, bulimia or mental illness or, sadness.
Not us,
but
just
other
people
people.
we know.
But, those are very human things to have happen to you, when you're very sensitive. And I think that those are, if you can overcome those things, you become even stronger and you become a voice for people. But it's not the easiest thing in the world to be different, you know what I mean? It just isn't, and it takes a long time, I think, to accept that. I almost feel, I was saying this the other day, when you're younger, you can't do anything about it. Like me getting in that Hartford stage company, I was just who I was. So it's like people would say, you're ugly, or you're not this, or you're not going to do anything, or you're just like, you're an idiot, you're wrong. You don't see that obviously I'm incredible,
Right.
And then what happens is you get kind of beaten down by life, and somehow that goes away. And then I think part of, hopefully, your journey is putting that all back together, where you then go, you know what? Like, you guys were wrong. I was right all these years. But it's very hard to not, you get these voices in your in your head that are distracting.
And so that's something I want to talk to you about in terms of like your longevity in this business, because you know, you're on an NBC show, you have a web series, you're in a Scorsese movie. I mean, all of these different. You're in a web series in Atwater Village, you know, directed by Jesse Coleman. It's like your career's so eclectic. You're coming out with this book. So can you talk a little bit about, I guess, like how you have like your experience in finding your voice, which quite literally, you know, started with a scream.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about, because a lot of people will have asked this question for you, is like, how do you find your voice? Because it's about like, how do you stand out? And people go, well, ILLEANA Douglas is a thing. Like it's a thing, whether you're in 6 Feet Under, like I know you're an actor, but it's all your thing. Like it's your spin on it. So talk a little bit about developing that, both in front of camera and behind camera.
I was always sort of developing my voice, but then I would get sidetracked. And it was, what started for me was when I was working with Gary Shandling and doing Larry Sanders. And he wanted me to be his, you know, last girlfriend on the show. And I was a huge fan of that show. And he said, I want you to come in just every day and just talk to me and just tell me every funny thing that ever happened to you. And everything I was saying, it was Jon Stewart and Judd Apatow were behind the scenes. Like it was Judd Apatow's first, you know, thing in show business. And they were writing down everything I said, and everything I said was like making it into the script. And I started to think of like Cape Fear and To Die For and now this, and it was like this idea that they were taking, it was like things I was actually saying. Like in Cape Fear, when I'm with De Niro and sitting on the, you know, at the bar, I mean, that was something my grandmother would say, you know, oh, doesn't that make me the bozo on the bus? You know, and then it was like, I'm watching a movie, and my roommates would see these movies, and they go like, do people know that, like, you're not acting, that you're just talking? Or, and I you know, and I said, why are they, but I didn't put it together until when I was doing Shandling, and so much of me was coming into the part that then I started to think, well, maybe, you know, maybe I should start like developing my own material and writing more. And then that's when I, you know, I started writing this show, this ILLEANA Rama show. But I met around this period, I was in New York, and the director Mike Nichols was showing the film The Graduate. And I never met him before, and he said, you know what I like about you is that you're both in the movie and outside the movie in the audience.
Oh my God.
Commenting to the audience. And I was like, I was so struck by that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I had never thought of that, but I was like, yeah, I think I am. I think I'm in the movie.
You are. You're us.
And I'm outside the movie going like, can you believe he's doing this? And I think that, you know, and once I kind of identified that trait, I saw that I could really, that I was like the truth teller. I was the authentic person. I had somehow made it in the movies, you know, despite everything everybody said that I wasn't going to, you know, that I wasn't going to be in the film, and that I did have a voice, and it gave me a lot of validation, what he said. And I started like really being more, you know, just conscious of that characterization. And once I was conscious of that characterization, I could be better with my choices of material, like where I would know. And of course, I love to work. I think that it's that, and if you feel you have a voice and something to say, you know, then you have humor with which to draw from. As a comedian, I think it's important to know your persona. And once you know your persona, the jokes become part of that persona. And, you know, and I sort of feel that about me right now. Like I feel in a great place, like in terms of writing the book. Once I had this idea of like, I didn't want to write a book about my career. Nobody cares about my career, you know, but I think that my perspective, which was that, you know, I was, as a kid, I was like with my grandfather, like, you know, watching Peter Sellers, and my grandfather was Melvin Douglas. And so being on the set with him and watching him work and being like that out, you know, kind of an insider, but then also an outsider. And that perspective of me working on films and kind of seeing things that other people maybe didn't see, and that perspective of being an insider and outsider. I mean, when I've worked with Richard Dreyfuss and we become friends, and I interviewed him for Turner Classic Movies. I've interviewed him now like 4 times. But the first time I interviewed him, I had to write a profile about him. And he was so touched that he called me on the phone and literally, I mean, like I could start crying. He read me the profile back, like me quoting him in the thing, you know, hanging the panties on the rat and all of his famous lines. And he said, this is my favorite thing I've ever had written about me. He goes, you never asked me a single question. He goes, you didn't look at my Wikipedia. He goes, you base this profile on my work and on my movies. And from that, you got everything that I wanted an audience to get. And that to me, again, was a nice feeling of like, I'm on the right track. You know, I'm both in the movie and I'm outside the movie sitting in the audience going, aren't these people amazing? Like, why aren't we talking about Richard Dreyfuss? Because I'm a fan of movies and movie stars.
And I remember when I first sent you the script and you go, well, I just have some thoughts if you want to meet up. And I was like, oh, fucking shit. Because I like didn't have any idea. Like obviously I'd seen Easy to Assemble, like your web series that was sponsored by IKEA that I want to talk about. But you were like, I have some thoughts. And I was like, oh, fucking shit. Like, because anytime an actress is like, I have thoughts, I'm like, all right, great.
Yeah.
So then we like met up and like the stuff that it was like you were seeing my blind spots and like this is the tone of the show and like just always bringing it back to being like, and I think that's what is so different about your work. It's like, let's be funny, let's be crazy, but we have to root that in emotional truth.
Yeah.
And that is such a, you know, to me, like that balance that you bring to it.
Yeah.
And also just being able to be like, look, this isn't fucking working. Or look, let's play, let's experiment.
Right.
Let's have fun.
Right.
Like the whole time we were on set, I think sometimes it can get really hard because you have no money and I was so nervous and it's like, you'd be like, dude, we're just having fun.
Yeah.
Like we're not curing cancer.
Yeah.
You know?
It is fun, but again, I do feel it can't just be jokes, you know what I mean? Because once you have the relationship, you can like banter and banter and banter and banter based on, you know, what the given circumstances are. You know, once you have those given circumstances. It's like, you know, when I was doing Cape Fear, the reason that we could do the improv at the bar was because I knew something that Robert De Niro like didn't know. He also knew something that I didn't know. And to me, that's what's really exciting. Like, I knew that I'd been stood up and no matter what happened, like, I'm thinking I'm a big shot because I'm going to go home with him. He's thinking, like, I'm going to kill this stupid idiot. And I love the idea that to me, that's my favorite kind of acting. 2 people that, like, have their own agenda and they're completely different. And yet that's why the scene is so excruciating. You're like, oh my God, why does she not see this? Because in my mind, I was like, this guy's really into me. We're going home together. He really likes me. And so the audience.
That sounds like every Tinder date I've ever been on and they want to kill me.
Oh God. And they want to chop you up in 52 pieces.